Taylor Nation posting the number 8 instead of the number 10 in reference to maroon is absolutely a nod to Twin Peaks, in my opinion, and the 8 or the infinity sign on that man wall. So let's dive in. The creators were all about numerology. They had people adding up numbers, different numbers represented different things, much like Taylor Swift. But 8 is important because on April 8th, Twin Peaks came out. Yes, April 8th, Maddie Healy's birthday, Vivienne Westwood's birthday, and the date that she announced her breakup with Joe Alwyn. But the start of 8 being important starts early in season 1. And it is when we get a number 8 at a scene, and the 8 becomes a calendar. A calendar just like this. In Twin Peaks, that calendar is a little bit different. The 8 represents an infinite number of times going over and over and over things to solve the crime. The most important part of this 8 being a calendar in Twin Peaks is actually this part up here, because this part represents the inevitable. It's a part of the past that has to come out to kind of like allow the karmic path or allow everything to be dissolved and be presented, much like that karma in 1989 up there. Now, here's the weird thing. Basically, if we're looking at this wall as Twin Peaks, it doesn't matter when any of this comes out. The 8 is infinity. It can be released at any time. We get all of those. The important part is what occurs outside of the 8, because that is going to fill us in on the true story. In Twin Peaks, it's kind of believed that the essence of the true story has to be presented, because without it, they're kind of like stuck in almost like a purgatory, almost like the Red Room. They're stuck and they can't go on, and their doppelgangers and all of these like surreal entities try to create a new path because they didn't release everything of their old path. I know it's really complicated, stay with me, but the basis is that up here, this part, the unaliving, was bound to happen. In this specific scene, this is the very first time that we see the 8, and the 8 becomes standard in a lot of the important moments in the show. And the 8 is important because people notice that a 6 represents the actual person, and the 8 represents the entity that kind of changed the course of their life, or the spirit, or the soul, or the person, whatever you want to kind of look at it as. The 8 is the change, the 6 is the person. And the interesting part is that a 6 is found in an 8, especially the 8s in Twin Peaks. They're written with those like really sharp one edge so that you really can draw a 6 out of the 8. So maybe I'm just super hopeful that we are going to get the complete package eventually, but to me, them changing the 8 is very symbolic. Now, in Twin Peaks, the number 10, which this should have been, it should have said you may have lost maroon 10 times. The 10 is symbolic because a 10 is a number of completion. The 10 is when you close the door on the chapter and you got everything that you possibly could, unless you go back in time and kind of like relive it or rework it or rethink about it or revisit it like we do with Taylor's discographies. So everything that comes after the 10 is extra information or pointing towards something in the past, which I think is really interesting because Midnight's was 10, and that was 13 sleepless nights. And I find this really interesting. And that is just so interesting to me because we look at Midnight's on here as like a 1, but it's representation of starting the past of the story. So Midnight's is 13 sleepless nights over the course of her discography. TTPD, in my opinion, is thinking of the past and reworking the past or going through your emotions of the past, not of the present, of this area over here. And then karma fills in the blanks of stuff we don't know. But if you look at Midnight's not as a 1, but as a 10, because it's the 10th album, it makes sense that it is going back over her discography as well. It's kind of confusing. I hope everybody's staying with me. It makes sense in my mind. So the key to all of this is that karma in 1989. So the key to all of this is that the orange karma up top and that 1989, that extra 1989, that is the path. That is what we need to complete the 8. And no, the 8 doesn't That is what we need to complete the scene. So we have the 8, we have the changes, we have the thing that took her off course. It was all of these albums took her off course in some form or another. People can say, well, so if we break this down, if we break this down, here is the takeaway from this. It is that the 8 in the middle, the infinity sign, that is what took her off course, the re-records, or that time period at least. And then what is missing is that top, is the scene, is the inevitable. And that would be Karma in 1989. So I believe that this represents that it started after 1989. So I don't think we got everything from 1989 yet, but I think that it'll probably be pushed. But I think it will probably be pushed onto Karma. We already had the leaked SLUT lyrics. We know that was a collaboration at one point in time. I personally believe that those leaked SLUT lyrics are a sign to this, that there is more to 1989 that we don't know. And we didn't get it during Taylor's version because I think it occurred more after the completion of the album and during the 1989 tour. So I personally believe that that's going to be on Karma, and those leaked SLUT lyrics I think are in our future those leaked SLUT lyrics, I think, are in our future. Number 8 is very important to Matty Healy, and the number 8 is to Matty Healy what the number 13 is to Taylor Swift. It's a very important number. It is completion to him. So we're just waiting for those top 2. The rest, it doesn't really matter. When you look at it this way, debut and rep TV, even though we want them, they don't matter to correct the timeline for her because they've already been put out. They're redos, they're re-records. So the really important part is that time frame up top, 1989 through Karma. I hope that makes sense. Drop a comment. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.